Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark, a.k.a. Derringer. Today is Sunday, February 25th, and you are listening to episode 146 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for Planetside 2 news and information. As always, I'm brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. So what's been going on with me this past week? As everybody saw that I finished the Araxaming the third lasher, so I'm done with all 3 lashers at this particular point in time. So actually been spending a lot more time lately working on the NS357 IA Derringer pistol, trying to get a little more proficient with it. I still suck with it. I find that it's really a close range weapon. In fact, there was a post on the PS4 subreddit earlier this week asking about what people's opinions of it were, and I made a response there saying how I'm finding it's really good close range, not so great at any sort of longer range or anything like that. So I'm using it primarily to hunt enemy snipers out in the field, which I find that it excels at because a lot of those enemy snipers just out in the middle of nowhere sit still for so long, and you're able to just flank right around them, sneak up behind them, and double tap them right in the back of the head. So I've been doing a lot of that lately. Also, I unlocked Cat-like 5 on my Vanu character. That's the one I'm primarily working on the Derringer pistol with. And the reason I'm working on that character more than just my NC Derringer one is because that character is not BR120 yet. So obviously any work I do on that character works towards increasing the battle rank on that character too. So that's why I seem to be focusing a lot of my time on that character with the Derringer pistol. It has the most kills with the Derringer pistol as well. But I've been, like I said, unlocked rank 5 of Cat-like, so jumping into higher places where people don't expect an infiltrator to be, and then, looking at the head and hitting the head and getting kills that way. Like I said, a lot of work with the Derringer pistol. Unfortunately, I am not a pistol pro, so it's going to take me a while to get up there. And my real driving force is that I'm not number 1 on the Fizu site with Derringer pistol kills on a single character. When you add all 3 of my characters together, I would be number 1, but kind of a point of pride, I need to get myself onto the top of that list, obviously. Other than that, I've been doing some light assault play, trying to work on that on my NC character. And unfortunately, on Emerald, I've been avoiding playing TR like the plague because they seem to always be the overpopped faction every time that I log in. So other than that, I got my first Kickstarter board game. I know I talk about board games every now and then because that is one of my other loves out there, is playing board games. And believe it or not, I like to play a lot of solo board games, which may be kind of odd for people listening to this. Why would you play a solo board game? Because most board games are designed to play with multiple people, and I get that, but most of the board games I purchase can be played either solo or with multiple people. And case in point is that I purchased via Kickstarter the version of Zombicide Green Horde, and my core box got delivered this past Tuesday, so I've been out there playing Zombicide, Green Horde a ton. If you guys aren't familiar with Zombicide, and if you are a board game fan, Zombicide is created by a company called Cool Mini or Not, and also Guillotine Games. And it's basically, you have all these game tiles that are big, like 8x8 tiles that you form a zone out of, and then there's some spawns for zombies, there's spawns for your heroes, and you move from location to location, finding equipment, fighting zombies. The Green Horde version is a fantasy aspect of it. There's also just the regular Zombicide, which is kind of a present day zombie outbreak version of the game, and I own that one too. But like I said, since I just got the new one, I've been playing that one quite a bit lately. In fact, after I record this week's show and start rendering the YouTube video of it, I will probably go and play a game while that YouTube video is rendering. Good segue there. If you weren't aware, I do place every week's show on YouTube. And if you subscribe to me on YouTube, you'll get a notification when the show is posted. It's usually posted either the same day that this show goes live or the following day. So usually Mondays and Tuesdays are the days that I get this out on YouTube as well. So obviously you can be playing Planetside 2 and have YouTube running in the background and listen to all of my podcasts and leave comments and everything there. But again, playing quite a bit of Zombicide in addition to Planetside 2 this week. But enough about me. Everybody's here to talk about Planetside 2. What is in store for this week's show? Well, first, I do have a small PTS update to talk about, followed by an implant suggestion that I think I want to put some backing behind. After that, I want to talk about Doku's new hair-raising side project and wrap up the week by talking about the next community smash and how you can get involved. So strap in as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. So first up this week is that aforementioned February 23rd PTS update, and this is an extremely small one, and it is all construction related. So if you're a construction player, here's some stuff that's going to be coming to PC soon. Again, this is all just out on PTS. And the first is they've added a new decay feature to all buildings without power from an active silo. Basically, what's going to happen is they're going to take damage over time and be destroyed within 10 minutes. And now, again, this is only if the building does not have power from an active silo. So, obviously, the real reason for this being put into the game is that this allows them to much more easily clean up abandoned bases. So, if, for example, you log out of the game, you build your base, you log out of the game basically within 10 minutes, as long as it's not being powered from a silo and somebody's not putting cordium into one of your silos, that your base is basically going to be destroyed and disappear and give another player a chance to build a base at that particular location. Again, really just a quality of life thing to clean up abandoned bases. Now, it is going to be interesting if someone's rushing to try and refill a silo and their base is slowly being destroyed, and could be a little easier for enemies to kind of destroy it. But I certainly understand why they would put something like this in. They don't want a base just sitting there forever and no one doing anything at it. Next, some other miscellaneous construction things. The exclusion zones for all objects will now be standardized across the board, and it should allow different modules to be placed next to each other. Also, all construction objects have had some of their inner workings standardized, and the repair module should no longer cause players to shout about repairing other players when active. I know that was a big bug that a lot of players were complaining about. Next, and finally, the Yellow Jacket and Howling mining lasers are now using a new classification of resistance, and that is called Siege. It's currently not working as intended on the PTS, so they'll be fixing it. But basically what's going to happen with the Yellow Jacket and the Howling mining lasers, in addition to being able to mine cordium, you're going to be able to use them to siege construction objects, and they're going to be very effective against walls and buildings, but not so much so against modules. They will not be able to harm silos, and that's really to prevent rushing an ant silo smash, is what the devs are saying. And that's it for the PTS. Like I said, a very, very small PTS update. Really the biggest thing brought to this is the decay, so that they can clean up some bases that are just kind of sitting there with nobody doing anything to them, which I think is a really good change and something that needed to be done a while ago. I know a bunch of people recommended having that be added to the game itself. So again, that's the PTS update in a nutshell, and let's move on to our second topic this week. Second this week, I want to talk about a post on Reddit that has since been deleted, but a user asked, why can't I buy the level 1 implant of my choice? And like I said, it's since been deleted, but I kind of clued into this when I saw it earlier in the week. Now, I'm kind of surprised it got deleted. Yes, a bunch of people responded to it. The reason you can't just buy one is because of money. They want it. Daybreak Games wants it to be kind of a random draw, and that way you'll buy more implant boxes and continue to do that. And yes, that makes absolute perfect sense to me. But we are basically coming up on the 1 year point of implants being revamped and re-added to the game. They were changed last March 2017, and obviously this week we're going to be in March 2018. So that means the implant system is now the changed implant system is now a year old, and I kind of question. And I don't have any numbers to back this up, what the current cash flow is for implants on the side of Daybreak Games. Well, maybe it is time we reconsider and think about purchasing or allowing people to purchase the rank 1 implant of their choice currently. I think you need to exclude exceptional ones, obviously. Those should still be a random drop. But we've had all these other implants in the game for, like I said, almost a year at this point. Now, granted, some of the class-specific ones, it's been a while since those have come into the game itself. But if you're someone like me who has not spent a dime on implants, I have only spent certs on implants, and I have only spent ISO 4 on implants at this particular point. I don't see why we can't get to a point now where we're a year in that as long as you have enough ISO 4, you allow someone to buy a implant of their choice. And I would make it a very high ISO 4 cost. Maybe something like the amount required to put a implant to rank 5. And some people might say, oh, Jesus, that's way too much to buy an implant. But if you're someone like me who's just sitting on ISO 4 at this point because I have all my implants where I want them to be, I'm just kind of gaining it and not doing anything with it, I wouldn't mind spending a set amount of ISO 4 to unlock a specific implant. And now, sure, yeah, I understand that I could just use the ISO 4 recycler and get an implant that I want, or get an attempt to get an implant that I want. But all my previous attempts at using the ISO 4 recycler have been absolutely shit in what I've gotten. I've only gotten duplicate implants every time I've done it, and it's been an absolute waste of ISO 4 for me using that. So I'm a little gun shy of using something like this. If I had a surefire way of getting a specific implant, then I might be looking at spending a bunch of ISO 4 to do something like that. For example, the one that I'm trying to get now more than anything else is the aerial combatant one on my NC character, and every time I get 750 certs, I spend 750 certs and try and get and buy a box of implants, and I never get the aerial combatant one. I mean, at this point, I would be happy to spend a whole bunch and purchase a specific one. The flip side of the coin there is maybe it's also time to offer it for Daybreak Cash to purchase a specific level 1 implant of your choice. This is especially so if we've gotten to the point where no one is really buying a bunch of implant boxes with Daybreak Cash. They're all just using certs to do it. Then maybe getting a surefire way to get an implant is not a bad idea at this point in time. Again, the only reason I say this is because the implant system is about a year old at this point, the revamped implant system. And if you've got a number of players who are just trying to get that same one implant over and over and over and over again, maybe this is a way to kind of give back to the community in a sense like that. Now, I will absolutely flip-flop on how I feel about this if Daybreak Games were to come to me and say, look, we heard what you say, but here is the reality of how much money that we're making on the implant system currently. And if they have some hard and fast figures that say, the implant system is making us still a ton of money, then I will absolutely, retract all the comments that I've made today, and it can continue to work in the way that it's been working since inception. But I do think that if they're starting to fall off, then maybe it's time to get people excited about implants or get people into buying a specific implant, because then you'll have people who will buy the big packs of them to try and get a bunch of ISO 4 just to rank that particular implant up to max rank. So again, I was a little disappointed that this topic had been deleted altogether on Reddit, because I think it could have spawned some additional discussion, and I would have liked to have seen a response from the developers themselves regarding it, but they didn't, and that's that. So those are my thoughts on the current state of implants and whether we should be able to purchase them outright or not. I, for one, would like to at this point in the game. Third today, I want to talk about a new side project that Doku revealed this past week on Reddit. And, this side project is hair-raising, like he's trying to breed bunnies. It's beards. He's actually working on a new helmet style that is basically a beard. And it's also the TR version that he showed also had like a bandana and goggles on top of the head. In its current iteration, the beard looks silly. I'm not going to lie. It looks silly, but I think it's got a lot of people excited about what could possibly be done with things like this. It looks like it looks like a person wearing a fake beard, basically. And I understand that that's just the limitation of what Doku's designing these cosmetics with. But like I said, it has got a lot of people excited about what he could potentially do with it. And when I look at the comments on the Reddit post, there's 144 comments when I talk about this, in this show right now. And lots of people say, yeah, give me that. Give me an eye patch. And like I said, it's a lot of people that think it looks really good and it's a direction that they want him to go in. Now, of course, there's the other side of the coin where people are saying, well, what are female characters going to do? They don't want to see female characters in-game wearing beards, in pink spandex, running around, killing people. Maybe those people aren't comfortable in their own sexuality. I don't know. But that's neither here nor there. In response to that, Doku said that he would potentially create a different version of this if a female player were to wear it. And maybe he could do something as simple on the female side as do makeup. My daughter wears more makeup than I'd like to comment on. But that could certainly be a option for him if he wants to explore that one. He can take that away free of charge from me. But this reminds me very much of the Higby hair helmet that was introduced or suggested many, many, many years ago at this point and got shot down. And I think it's really all due to the limitations of getting hair to look within the game itself. I applaud Doku for even going down this type of rabbit hole, I guess is the way to say it, to see what can be done. And I'm really curious what his final iteration of this is going to be. I hope he continues to play around with this and continue to try and produce something that looks interesting. Like I said, right now it just looks rather fake and maybe too fake within the game itself. But it's an option, and like I said, I really applaud him from trying to, really get on the edge of creativity for something like this. If there's anything that you say about Doku, he is very, very creative when it comes to Planetside 2. I mean, look at all the armors that he has within the game itself. So Doku, keep working on this, and I'm excited, much like the majority of the community is, to see where this goes. I will include a link to it in this week's show notes so you guys can actually check it out and see a picture of it. And ultimately, it's very reminiscent of when I went to SOE Live and saw the old community manager Brass in her TR Dwarf Max suit cosplay. Maybe that's going to have to be this week's cover image, so you guys can actually see that too. But with that, let's move on to our final topic this week. So let's talk Community Smash. Now, I'm a big proponent, that's the word I'm looking for, of these community smashes, server smashes, internal smashes. Doesn't matter what they are. I think that if you play Planetside 2, it is in your best interest to at least experience one of these at least once in your life. Now, this topic came via an email that I received from Sevarm Knight, who wrote, "Hello, Derringer. Congratulations on Araxiuming all 3 Lashers, you absolute madman. We have a community smash coming soon, and I was wondering if you are going to participate in it. That is coming up on March 24th. We're trying to start this year with a blast, hopefully to bring more players into the game. I also bought a mug from your store to get ready for the smash coming up soon. P.S. You should contact Nico101 for all the Community Smash content soon, since he'll be hosting the stream for it." So first off, thank you, Sev Armknight, for the email and also for buying a mug. That is a great quick segue to remind people that if you ever wanted any of the Instant Action Podcast swag, that I do have a Spreadshirt store. If you go to the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com, you can go directly to the Spreadshirt store. I am actually drinking my morning coffee out of an instantactionpodcast.com mug right now. So that's... I have shirts there, but I think the mugs are my favorite things over on that Spreadshirt store. But that's neither here nor there. Let's, like I said, talk about this Community Smash. And as Sevarm Knight said, the next one's taking place on March 24th. If you are curious, that in itself is a Saturday. And it's going to be taking place. There's actually going to be 3 of them on that exact same day. At 9 p.m. UTC, 10 p.m. CET, Cobalt and Miller are going to play. At 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, Emerald and Connery are going to play. And at 8 a.m. AEDT and 7 a.m. AEST and 5 a.m. AWST, Briggs is going to play in a Community Smash. So again, there are going to be 3 of them all happening at the exact same day. And if you aren't aware, Community Smash is a massive event which hundreds of players battle against each other on the Jaeger server to find out who's the best once and for all. Well, at least until the next Smash. All factions and all servers will be able to take part in the huge event. However, the starting time does suit EU and American servers a little better than the Briggs server, unfortunately. The aim for March 24th is around 400 versus 400 players, and the entire event is going to be streamed on Nico 101's Twitch channel, so anybody who's curious, they can watch if they don't want to participate. If you're curious what the rules are for Community Smash, they're similar to the internal smashes, the server smashes, those that are all going on. Everything is allowed with some limitations. Currently, all Liberators and ESFs are banned. That could change if they get at least 24 pilots signed up. If that happens, they will unban ESFs and Liberators. The factions are going to be decided by the faction commanders after a coin flip. The organizers retain a final say in the matter of team selection and command pick. Construction is going to be banned, and also ants are going to be banned. Named accounts are allowed, but must be stated in any sign-up documentation that you complete. And AI, that's anti-infantry maxes, are banned with the exception of Gorgons. And this is similar to the rules of the internal Smash that I participated in recently, except ESFs weren't banned in that particular one. At least the starting point did. But AI maxes were banned, and that was actually pretty good. So, again, if you're interested and have never participated in one of these community smashes before, or a server smash or an internal smash, again, I think you're doing yourself a disservice as a Planetside 2 player not participating in one of these. They're a lot of fun. Win or lose, they're a lot of fun, unless you absolutely get skunked, and then it's not as much fun as if you win. But anybody can play in these things. Like I said, I will include a link to the documentation for this. There's a sign-up doc that you can sign up to play solo, and they will actually drop you into an existing group of players. You can sign up with your entire outfit. You can sign up with a group of players. Again, the goal is to get you into and playing these games, and this should be a pretty cool event. Like I said, it's happening all at the same time on the same day, which is kind of amazing that you're going to have so many fights, so many competitive events, community events going on all at the same time. So again, if you're interested in this, I will include a link to all the information in the show notes. Please sign up. I promise that you will have a good time.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
Housekeeping.
Go away.
I coming anyway?
So for housekeeping, obviously the only email I got this week was from Sevarm Knight, and as you can see, I turned it into the fourth topic on this week's show. So nothing else, and I guess that's going to be it for this week's show. So how can you get in touch with me or the show itself? As always, visit my website, www.instantactionpodcast.com. Send me an email, instantactionshow@gmail.com, just like Sevarm Knight did. Also, give me a call, leave me a voicemail. That's 347-4VM-4PS2, or those numbers are 347-486-4772. Follow the show on Twitter at InstActPodcast, or me personally at The Derringer. But in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else. Also, feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show. And finally, thanks for listening, and keep spamming that Join Combat, formerly known as Instant Action button.
Get your arms combined.